when you're traveling, don't you wish you could eat more authentic food?
Yeah, it sucks when you go halfway across the world.
You don't want to go to McDonald's, even though that's the most recognizable symbol across the world. But
well, and I don't want to ding our next guest, but McDonald's in Paris is amazing. In fact, our next guest is from Paris.
She is Parisian, and she is the COO and co-founder of EatWith, the Airbnb of food. Welcome to the show, Camille Rumani.
Thank you for having me.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Yeah. So EatWith, how does this work?
So basically, we're the largest marketplace for food experiences. So not only dinners, but cooking classes and food tours. So we connect local hosts in more than 100 countries with travelers from all around the world. And we also have locals that are taking, a place and sitting around the table, especially in New York, for example. So we connect like travelers and we connect people around food, basically, anywhere in the world.
And it's so fascinating because we always think of cuisines like Mexican or Italian food as one big general umbrella, but once you get to the country, it's so nuanced. Every little corner of these countries has their own cuisine.
Yes, it also depends on the region, for example. Like if you go to Italy, if you go to Rome or to Sicily, it's totally different cuisine. And even also in the US, you have amazing traditions. We have hosts in New Orleans, so Southern cuisine is something like everyone have to test. So definitely, it's really like the culture, the history of the families, and as a host, you also want to showcase your culture and where do you come from and tell your story through food and so people can discover where you come from. And
say if your grandma, my grandmother, amazing cooks,
right?
And then they want to host people.
Yes.
They would trade notes about rice because Chinese and Cubans eat a lot of rice, it would be a rice ingredient.
How do they sign up to be hosts?
There is an application process, so it's not an open marketplace. There is a curation that is made by our team, so you need to apply to be a host. You go through a vetting process. We accept approximately 7% of the candidates.
Wow.
What do you look at then?
So, for example, we look about like the menu, the quality of the pictures. We also do interviews with each candidate to know more about them and if why do they want to host and if they fit for this, because it's not only about the food. It's really about making people comfortable around a table and how do you make someone feel like home.
So it obviously, because you are in 130 countries,
yes.
right? It's not realistic for you personally to go taste all the foods because they probably come from everywhere. In that case, in the absence of taste, how do you decide? Because we know when we look at a picture, it doesn't mean much.
Yes. Yeah. The interaction and the interviews tells a lot because you see how the people, react and what he's telling you, what he wants to share. Also, I would say the reviews are super interesting. So whenever there's a new experience at the label, like be the first, to test this one, to test this new host. And the reviews are extremely important for all us to monitor the quality of the experiences. We do have offices in 7 different countries and we travel a lot. To test and to also organize meetup because it's also about a community of food lovers. So the bond is very, very strong.
So tell me, how did you get this idea and how did you undertake this and where do you live permanently?
So I live in Paris. I love food and I love to travel, I confess. So when after my business school, I was living in China and I've been learning Chinese for 10 years before this. But when I was working in a Chinese company, I got invited over by my Chinese friends for family gathering and Chinese New Year, for example. And I was like, whoa, this is the first time I really experienced the Chinese culture, from the inside and I can ask questions on all the dishes that I have in front of me. So I said, we have to create a platform basically to facilitate these experiences. Now we have 34% of millennials that are choosing a destination based on the food offerings. People are really, into food and they want to experience this dinners and cooking class and food tours. So that's why we came up with the idea.
Is it cultures primarily transmitted by
food.
language,
yes.
music, and food?
And food.
Eating is culture.
And for a lot of people, food is the number one, right? Because they can't speak the language, they're not familiar with the music, but food is something they can immediately latch onto.
Exactly.
I have to ask you this because you say, okay, you guys are, or you at least want to be the Airbnb of food and travel food tourism. With Airbnb, it's you pick up a key or keys and then you just go stay there, and then it's large. Sometimes the hosts are there. It's possible, but
They have experiences now.
but sometimes it's like, oh, you get the whole space by yourself, so you just experience it yourself. How do you ensure the user safety when you when if I'm eating with somebody I have never met, I'm based my decision on reviews, hopefully a lot, but say, there are always new people signing up, so you can't just automatically say, oh, they have like 2 reviews, I'm not going to go there. That's not really fair. So how do you ensure me as a user, I'm going to have a good and safe experience?
So as you were comparing with Airbnb, we're definitely a social experience. So if the host is not there, there's no experience. And the idea is to really like share and exchange with the people. So the reviews are important, but also the profile of the host that is like really detailed. So you can already imagine like him before, and guests and hosts they chat before. They chat also before the experience, which is like a great thing also, so more. We also validate, for example, that we do ID verifications and many other verifications. So that's very important for us. And we also have an insurance that cover up like the host and the guests throughout the experience if anything happened.
So where's your number 1 market?
Oh, Italy.
Really?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Italy, France, the US is very strong as well. We had like 200% growth in the US, and we're keeping the same trend. So very exciting opening.
Surprised Mexico's not a bigger market because the cuisine is
could
so
be bigger,
Mexico
sure.
and Peru.
Yeah,
We have good hosts. Definitely, the food culture is amazing. But we're not there yet a lot. But it's in
Peru's another one.
Yes,
That's some of the most complex
the
cuisine in the
Yeah,
world.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
Also, like Greece, like all the countries that are very like food related, very deep in their culture. We'd love to have like more hosts.
Okay.
Well, Camille, where do we find out more?
On eatwith.com or on our app as well.
Is Android and
Yes.
Apple. Okay.
Yes.
And the very last thing, I have a few favorite spots in Paris.
Yes.
Next time I go, what's like the one of as a local person, your favorite spot that I should check out?
Ooh, there's a dance district that used to be very like a rock and roll, and that's really hip right now. There's a very cool restaurant near Rue Montorgueil. Its name is Chabour. It's an Israeli chef. You have to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, Chabour.
Perfect. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
coming
much,
on,
Camille.
Camille.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.